We need to be able to give each other honest, direct feedback that can help us solve the problem that we see. Too often we shy away from giving feedback. We hope, we pray that the person will figure it out and fix it. We really need to give direct, constructive feedbacks. For the next several minutes, I want to talk you through a process for giving feedback that works very effectively in groups as well as interpersonally. This process I call the 4 I's approach to giving feedback. You're going to get a handout in just a moment. I want to go through this first. The 4 I's stand for information, importance, invitation, and implications. And the goal that you have in giving this feedback is twofold. First, you want to reduce defensiveness that might occur in the person you're giving the feedback to. Because once the person is defensive, you're not going to get through. The second goal is to invite them to help you solve the problem. So the first challenge for you is to reframe this for yourself to say, this is an invitation to problem solve, not an opportunity to dump my frustrations, my concerns on this person. And we do this by walking through this step, this process. I call it the 4 I's approach simply so you can remember it and that you can begin to employ it as a structure. For those of you who attended one of our previous sessions, I talked about a structure for answering questions. This is a structure for giving feedback. It works in most situations, and I encourage you to try to use it. In fact, in a few moments, we'll practice it. Can I have the handouts go out? Let me walk you through what each one of these steps does. When you receive the handout, I'm actually going to ask you to look at the back side. The front side of the handout talks about things you need to think about before you give feedback in terms of the timing, how best to structure that feedback, how to deliver it either by yourself or with others. So there's a lot of consideration to have before you give feedback. The information step is where you objectively state what's going on. Let's say you have a teammate who is continually late to your meetings, doesn't show up on time. The information step would simply be, I've noticed that this is the 3rd time you've arrived late to our meetings. It's something that everybody can see and observe. The importance phase is where you tell your thoughts and feelings about that behavior. We state these thoughts and feelings using I language, owning it. Why do we do that? Why do we say, I feel that your lateness shows your lack of concern for this project, versus me saying something like, you're late and I don't think you care, or you don't care? What's the difference? Why would I use I language? Yes, Mike?
Showing it's affecting somebody else.
One is it shows that it's affecting somebody else, namely me. Brendan, why else?
Because you're not projecting somebody else's thoughts and feelings.
Right, so you're not projecting somebody else's thoughts and feelings. And most importantly, I think, is the person can't argue with it. They can't say, no, you don't feel that way, because they're your feelings or your thoughts. What we're trying to do is reduce defensiveness, so we own what we're saying. So it might sound something like this. The information phase, I notice this is the 3rd time that you're late for our meeting. I feel that you aren't prioritizing our project as high as you should. The 3rd I is invitation. This is where I clearly and concretely state what it is I need. I'm not vague. I'm very clear. I need you to arrive 5 minutes before our meeting time. That's something we can observe. That's something we can measure. I don't just say, I need you to fix it. Because the person could show up 5 minutes late and say, hey, I wasn't 10 minutes late. I'm improving. Shouldn't that be something that you're proud of? Instead of, it just frustrates you more. So we very concretely make our invitation something that we can measure and something that is very clear. The 4th I is implications. And this is where you give the consequences. Consequences can be both positive and negative. A positive implication could be, and if you show up 5 minutes early, our meetings will be more efficient, and in fact, we'll get done earlier, so you can go do those other things that might be distracting you. What might a negative consequence be for the situation I've given you? What could I say? Scott?
Or else.
Oh, what would the or else be? Again.
Or else, we're going to be mad at you, which might be, we're going to
Okay. Or else we're going to have to dissolve the team, or we're going to have to remove you from it, or we're going to have to talk to some external authority about it. Right, so there's a negative consequences too. What do you think the research tells us is best to start with? Positive or negative implications? Tom? Positive, absolutely. Research suggests that if you're actually trying to invite somebody to problem solve with you, that you start with the positive consequences first, and then if it doesn't work, then you can go negative. So what this structure allows you to do is it helps you figure out how to communicate effectively with team members or interpersonally to get the person to join you in solving the problem. It is a structure that requires practice, and we're going to practice that right now.